You open your refrigerator. Cold air hits your face. There is meat inside. Fruit. Milk. Food from yesterday. And you feel safe. You do not smell every bite like your life depends on it. You do not fight insects away. You do not race against heat, flies, and rot. You just close the door. But for most of human history, food was not safe after you found it. Finding food was only the first battle. Keeping it from turning against you was the second. Meat could rot. Fish could spoil. Fruit could collapse into mush. Seeds could mold. Insects could arrive before nightfall. And the same meal that saved your group today could make your group sick tomorrow. So how did ancient humans keep food safe without refrigerators? They did not have one magic trick. They built a survival system. A system made from fire, air, smoke, fat, cold, containers, timing, and memory. And the first enemy was moisture. Rot needs water. So ancient humans learned to steal water away from food. Imagine a group returning after a dangerous hunt. They have meat. But meat is heavy, wet, warm, and already changing. If they leave it in a pile, the sun works against them. Flies work against them. Invisible life works against them. So they cut it thin. They spread it apart. They hang it where air can move. The wind becomes a tool. The sun becomes a tool. Time becomes something they can control. The meat gets lighter, drier, harder for decay to attack. They may not have known the word bacteria, but they knew the pattern. Wet food failed fast. Dry food lasted longer. That was not luck. That was observation turned into survival. But drying had a problem. The sky could betray you. Rain could ruin everything. Humid air could slow the drying. Animals could steal what you had worked for. So humans needed a second weapon. Smoke. Today, smoked food feels like flavor. Back then, smoke could mean tomorrow. A slow fire could dry meat and fish while changing the surface of the food. Smoke helped keep insects away. It added compounds that made food harder for microbes to attack. And it gave humans more control when weather was not perfect. Picture strips of meat hanging above a low fire. Not burning. Not cooking too quickly. Just sitting in warm smoke. Hour after hour. Someone had to keep the fire alive. Someone had to control the heat. Someone had to move the food. Someone had to know the difference between drying and ruining. This was engineering. Not with machines. With distance, smoke, patience, and attention. Then came another idea. Protect food from air. Air helps decay. So in many traditional food systems, cooked or dried meat could be packed with fat. Fat was not just something to eat. Fat was stored energy. Warmth for the body. Fuel for walking. A shield against hunger. And sometimes, a way to seal food away from the world. For us, fat is a number on a food label. For ancient humans, fat could be the difference between strength and starvation. But meat was only one part of the problem. Plants were fragile too. Fruit could ferment. Roots could spoil. Nuts could turn bad. Seeds could mold if damp air reached them. So ancient humans had to read the land like a calendar. When does this fruit ripen? How long can this root wait? Which seeds must stay dry? Which foods can be buried? Which foods must be eaten before sunset? This knowledge was not written down. It lived in memory, in hands, in routines, in watching older people prepare for hunger before hunger arrived. Storage was not just putting food somewhere. Storage was choosing the right enemy to block. Heat, water, insects, animals, mold, time. A cool cave could slow decay. A shaded pit could protect food from heat. A raised platform could keep it away from animals and damp ground. A container made from bark, hide, basketry, wood, clay, bone, or stone could turn loose food into protected food. The materials changed from place to place, but the thinking stayed sharp. What will destroy this food first? And how do we stop it? This is where the old cartoon image fails. Ancient humans were not just hungry people sitting beside a fire. They were planners, testers, observers, problem solvers under pressure. They had to remember which wood made good smoke, which place stayed cool, which basket kept seeds dry, which food could survive travel, and which mistake could cost the group days of work. Because one mistake was not small. If insects reached the meat, protein disappeared. If water entered the storage, winter became harder. If food spoiled during migration, the next camp became dangerous. Food preservation was not only technology. It was cooperation. One person cut. One person gathered fuel. One person watched smoke. One person protected the camp. One person taught the young. The refrigerator did not begin as a box in your kitchen. It began as an ancient question. How do we slow decay? How do we control moisture? How do we use heat without destroying the food? How do we use cold before we can make cold? Modern refrigeration uses electricity, sealed doors, compressors, and controlled temperature. Ancient preservation used wind, fire, shade, smoke, fat, containers, cold places, and timing. The tools look different. The principle is the same. Food is fragile. Life depends on protecting it. Archaeology, anthropology, and traditional food knowledge show that humans across many regions developed ways to dry, smoke, store, ferment, cool, bury, and protect food. But there was no single ancient method. A cold coastline was not a desert. A forest was not a grassland. A river valley was not a mountain camp. Different places demanded different answers. That is the real intelligence. Not one perfect invention. The ability to see a problem, test a solution, remember the result, and teach it before the next hunger came. Today, you open a refrigerator and trust the cold. You trust the plastic container. You trust the label. You trust the quiet machine in the corner. But behind that machine is an older story. Hands cutting meat into thin strips. Smoke rising from a careful fire. Seeds lifted away from damp ground. Food hidden from animals. A child learning which meal must be eaten today, and which meal can save tomorrow. Ancient humans did not have refrigerators, but they understood the problem refrigeration solves. Comfort is not magic. Comfort is a solved problem. And before electricity solved it for us, our ancestors fought decay with fire, air, memory, and patience.